Ever received a call from your bank that seemed a bit off? Perhaps the voice on the other end sounded too robotic, or the questions asked were a tad too personal. You're not alone. In fact, countless people receive such dubious calls every day. And they're not just random, but part of a wider, more deceptive ploy. These calls often impersonate trusted entities like our banks, insurance companies, even government bodies. The aim? To lull us into a false sense of security, trick us into revealing sensitive information, or worse, access our hard-earned money. This phenomenon is far more prevalent than you might think. It's known as spoofing, and it's become a modern-day scourge that's causing worry and creating victims worldwide. But don't fret, the purpose of this video is to arm you with knowledge, to empower you to recognize and resist these deceptive tactics. Let's delve into what exactly these spoofing calls are. Spoofing calls, a term that might sound like tech jargon, is far simpler than you might think. It's a technique where scammers manipulate the caller ID system to appear as a different number, often impersonating banks or other trusted institutions. And why do they do this? The answer is as old as the hills: deception. Imagine you're sitting at home sipping your morning coffee when your phone rings. The caller ID displays the name and number of your bank. Now you're more likely to pick up the call, aren't you? That's the power of spoofing. It leverages trust, familiarity, and the element of surprise. It's a game of shadows and illusions, where the scammer masquerades as a trusted entity to catch you off guard. Once they have your attention, the scammer on the other end of the line might weave a compelling story. Perhaps they'll say there's a problem with your account, or that they need to verify some transactions. In the heat of the moment, under the guise of solving a problem, they aim to trick you into revealing sensitive information. This could be anything from your bank account details, your social security number, or even your personal identification number. The goal of these calls is to extract as much information as they can, to either steal your identity, drain your bank account, or both. It's a ruthless scheme that preys on the unsuspecting, exploiting the trust we place in our institutions. But here's the thing. While spoofing calls are a serious concern, understanding them is half the battle. By knowing their tricks, their modus operandi, we can better protect ourselves from falling victim to their scams. So let's pull back the curtain on these deceptive practices. Now that we know what spoofing calls are, let's understand how they operate. Spoofing calls operate in a sly and cunning manner. They are the master puppeteers of the telecommunication world, pulling strings to make things appear different than they truly are. Let's delve into the modus operandi of these tricksters. It all begins with cloaking their real phone number. The spoofers use special software or services that allow them to disguise their actual number, replacing it with a different one. This could be any number: your local pizza place, your kid's school, or in our case, your bank. Once the number is disguised, the next step is the act. The spoofer impersonates a bank representative using carefully crafted scripts. Their goal? To sound as convincing as possible. They might even use professional jargon to make the conversation sound more legitimate. Now you're on the line with someone who claims to be from your bank. What happens next? They'll usually spin a tale. Perhaps there's a problem with your account, or they've detected suspicious activity. They'll create a sense of urgency, pushing you to act quickly. But how do they benefit from this? Well, their ultimate aim is to coax out your sensitive information. It could be your account number, your password, or other personal details. They'll ask you to verify a sequence of numbers sent to your cell phone from the bank, all under the guise of helping to resolve the supposed issue. Unless you contacted the bank directly, hang up the phone immediately and block the number. It definitely is a scam. In reality, they're not resolving anything. Instead, they're collecting the keys to your bank account, your identity, or whatever else they're after. It's a sneaky operation, one that relies heavily on the power of persuasion, manipulation, and fear. The modus operandi of spoofing calls is meticulously planned and executed. It's a scheme designed to exploit the trust we have in institutions like banks. These scammers are experts in the art of deception, and their tactics are continually evolving. So, we've uncovered the operations of spoofing calls. Next, we explore how to protect ourselves. It's important to remember that knowledge is power. By understanding how these scams work, we can better equip ourselves to spot them and ultimately to stay safe. Staying safe from spoofing calls requires vigilance and knowledge. Let's dive into some key tips that can help you guard against these fraudulent calls. First off, remember that caller ID isn't always reliable. Spoofers can manipulate it to display a familiar number or name, tricking you into thinking the call is legitimate. So, even if your caller ID shows your bank's name, it doesn't necessarily mean it's your bank on the other end of the line. Next, avoid divulging personal information over a call. This may seem obvious, but in the heat of the moment, it's easy to forget. Spoofers may pose as bank employees and ask for sensitive details like your account number, social security number, or even your password. Remember, legitimate banks will never ask for your password or PIN over the phone. If you receive a call that seems suspicious, hang up. Don't press any numbers or follow any instructions given during the call. Spoofers often use these tactics to confirm that the number they're calling is active, which can lead to more spoofing calls in the future. After hanging up, contact your bank directly. Use the number on the back of your debit or credit card or the customer service number listed on the bank's official website. Inform them about the suspicious call and ask if they tried to contact you. Also, consider registering your number with the National Do Not Call Registry. While it won't stop all spoofing calls, it can reduce the number of unwanted calls you receive. Finally, stay updated about the latest scams. Spoofers often adjust their tactics, so it's important to keep abreast of new schemes. Remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about spoofing, the better you can protect yourself. Always doubt any call you receive. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Hang up, block the number, and call your bank directly. Most banks will never call you directly if there is an issue with your account. All communication is done in writing. Even if you receive communication from your bank in the mail, never call any phone numbers listed in the correspondence. Always call the bank directly. With these tips, you can fortify your defenses against spoofing calls. Today, we've navigated the deceptive world of spoofing calls. They use clever tactics to manipulate your caller ID, making it seem as though the call is coming from a trusted source, like your local bank. Their ultimate goal? To trick you into revealing sensitive information. But it's not all doom and gloom. By being vigilant, verifying the caller's identity, and never providing personal information over the phone, you can protect yourself from falling prey to these dark practices. Stay informed and stay safe. If you or somebody you know is a spoofing scam victim, it'll get better. We are here for you during your time of grief. In the About section of this channel, there is a link to book a pre-consult session to begin your road to recovery if needed. Thank you for watching Bear Dark Love. Subscribe and leave a comment below if these type of videos have helped you post scam, and follow us on Instagram.